Hey super friends, it's Neil. I literally just got back home after a screening of Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. More on that to follow, wristband for proof. It's like 11 o'clock and the Superman trailer came out earlier today, about 5 o'clock in the evening, so like 6 hours ago. Is that right? I have only seen this trailer on phone screen, so I'm about to witness it on TV for the first time and properly soak this up. So let's watch it in 4K.
Let's do it, Cronkite.
He has a nice apartment.
Superman.
Oh, the change in voice.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire. That's funny.
My
Secretary of
actions
Defense.
stopped a war.
Consult with the president.
I think that's going to be really important.
We're going to die.
Oh, that's interesting. That was Lord Tech. Oh, look at the blade hands look so cool. Little Clark. Look at those Justice Leaguers.
Get him for you.
Ma.
You have a dog?
Okay, that was incredible. It looks so good in 4K on TV. Oh, honestly. Whew. This is a really cool trailer. I really dig what this trailer is doing. Firstly, the skyline of Metropolis looks great in that first shot. They are clearly going for a very modern city of tomorrow, which makes sense. But it looks so cool and it's shot really nicely. It's just so the cinematography here. I really like it. I know some people are kind of against this more digital, clean, contemporary look rather than old school film, but it seems to work with the way James Gunn makes movies. There are times when it looks great. There are other times where I prefer a look of film, and this looks so good. But I was so excited by how David Corenswet goes from Clark to Superman. It's the classic, like the Christopher Reeve, from the shoulders to the up, which we've all talked about so much. But the voice is really interesting. So Lois interviewing him without anybody seeing as Superman, and the change in the voice from the kind of, yeah, Lois, we can do this to you. Hi, Miss Lane. It's just so, I really like what he's doing there. That's very cool. I like that this is a Superman who is going to really define the difference between the Clark and the Superman. It was something that I felt was lacking from Zack Snyder's version, which I really wish we had gotten to see, because the glimpses of it in Batman vs Superman were great. But this is very cool. This feels like a Superman that is Superman to me. This feels like the Superman I enjoyed in cartoons as a kid. This feels like the Superman that I enjoy in the comics. This feels like a cat who's having a crazy moment. A lot to unpick action-wise, but one thing I really picked up on in this watch was how that what they're talking about in that interview seems to be really important. So the fact that she questions him going to what is clearly Barovia and getting involved in this war, and how that impacts on him as a sign of America, a symbol of America, and him saying, I only went representing myself, not representing anyone else. That's interesting. That obviously speaks to the truth, justice, and the American way that used to be the phrase of Superman, the mantra of Superman, that they've changed in recent years. This is clearly, he is not acting for anyone, with anyone. He is doing what he sees as right. And I feel like this whole trailer is really emphasizing his humanity, which is very cool to me. Yes, there's so much very cool action, particularly with the kaiju. That seems to be used a lot as a kind of motif in this trailer, but what's underpinning it all is this idea of his humanity, who he represents, who he wants to save, and the choices that he makes. And then they go and give you the kicker, which is the shot of a young Clark running and being picked up by Pa, and then seeing Ma in the present day. So clearly Ma and Pa are both alive at this point, which is great. Let's hope they make it through this movie. But then seeing Ma kind of just dusting him off and saying, I've cleaned your boots for you. that kind of gives me Lois and Clark New Adventures of Superman vibes in a way, which is amazing, and it's so heartwarming. But what does that tell us? That tells us that this boy was raised working class on the Kent farm with real human values despite being an alien, and that's why he fights for good. That's why he fights for the people of Metropolis. That's why he fights for the people of Barovia. That's why he does what he does. And that, oh, wow. For those who don't know my kind of Superman journey, I have seen Christopher Reeve, or had seen Christopher Reeve's movies when I was a kid. Batman was always my hero. I watched the New Adventures of Superman. I did not see Superman the Animated Series until later in life. I was not a massive Superman fan. And I became a Superman fan through Henry Cavill and Man of Steel, because that was a darker version of the character and I prefer my heroes a little darker. But that led me to the comics, which has led me to what I now know of as Superman, and who is my Superman and how I feel about how the character should be. And this is Superman to me. This feels like a really traditional core value Superman, which is what I wanted from this trailer. What else do I want to pick up on? So much great action. This film is really well polished already, and it's not due out for another couple of months, which I think is testament to the fact that Gunn has talked about how DC movies want to shoot as soon as a script is ready, but early on, to give themselves lots of post-production time, because we know that Supergirl has finished filming and has over a year to do post-production, and this film had over a year for post-production as well, which is great. All of the CGI here looks great. Everything looks really, really good. Lord Tech, when Superman says eyes up here and then shoots up, you just catch the Lord Tech logo that's on the Justice Gang suits. I don't know if they're really called the Justice Gang. I think that's what it's just on toy packaging right now. So that's clearly a kaiju attacking Maxwell Lord and his Justice group, which must be why they get involved in that fight in that sequence. We get to see a lot more of them, which is fun. So much more of... thank you. Hello. So much more of the engineer. Her hands look awesome when they're in action. That fight sequence inside the Fortress of Solitude looks great as well. The fact that there's all this chaos going on around Lex and he's just kind of stepping through the middle of it. It looks really, really well shot. It almost looks Kingsman-esque in a way. It's got a slight Matthew Vaughn quality to it, in that way that the camera is kind of moving around with everything happening sort of centrally, with there being a focal point and all this chaos going on around it. So that looks really exciting. Gonna have to get close up on that in 4K to see if we can catch just the tiniest glimpse of Supergirl in that sequence, if that's the sequence she's in. Interesting way that we see what's happening with Superman being caught and put in that, whatever that perspex box is, by presumably Lex or someone. You've got Metamorpho. It took me a minute to... It's late. You've got Metamorpho in that box with his hand clearly manipulated into kryptonite to depower Superman. So is Metamorpho being controlled by Lex? Is he experimenting on and doing something with metahumans and is using them against Superman? That's interesting, and that's an exciting angle, particularly if that ties into what's happening with the Hand of Barovia, who we also see as this huge hulking like armor beast in this, and who might be in there with Ultraman being a character we do get a glimpse of in this trailer, if that's who he is. I think it is. I think it's safe to say it is. Also interesting that Rick Flag Sr. is shown on screen as they say the words Secretary of Defense. So has he, we know he's in charge of Argus, but has he risen the ranks up quite rapidly since Creature Commandos? And I can't help but notice that Lex Luthor is also shown on screen as they're talking about the president. So either he wants it or he is it. I'd be surprised if he was it, but I do think he's going to manipulate himself that way. Nicholas Hoult also doing a great job in this trailer as well. His not a huge amount of seeing him in action, but he's got some great facial tics that kind of remind me of Gene Hackman in a way, but still something quite original. So it's going to be interesting to see his version of Lex when we get to see the full film. Lois, wonderful. Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion, looks like his powers are really well realised in the film, so I'm kind of excited to see him in action. Yeah, what a great trailer. I was worried about it being 3 minutes long when I heard that that's how long it was, but in actual fact, it's done exactly what I needed it to do. It's given me so much more of the film, and I feel like I understand the film a lot more, but I also don't feel like I know everything about it. It hasn't spoiled it for me. I would kind of hope that maybe there's only one more trailer in them, if at all. I would be happy now with just TV spots, even. I kind of feel like I've almost seen enough ready to go into this film and see it now. But what did you think? Did you love this trailer? Has this sold you if you weren't already sold? Has it sold you more if you were already into it? I would really like to know, so let me know down below what you think. We have less than 2 months to go until Superman hits cinemas on July the 11th. Cannot wait. Very excited. I'm going to go write up some thoughts about this for the website as well. Some of the things that I've noticed that have gone out of my head as I've been talking on camera, because I am just so tired right now. So please head over to the website, getyourcomiccon.co.uk and check that out. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?